without further ado, we have Chimera versus LyraLusk. LyraLusk currently a tier 1, the best deck in Duel Links. Begin.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Right, for Patchwork, search in our deck for Polymerization plus our Edge Imp Chain, which when sent to the grave will search for another Fright for Patchwork. We are going to be summoning the Mirror Sword Knight, which is the hard check on Ash Blossom. If you Ash that Mirror Sword Knight and they have no way to stop it through something like a Gamma, they are in big trouble. We are now going to Chimera Fusion into Chimera King of the Phantom Beast, which will discard a card during the end phase randomly from the opponent's hand. Gazelle triggering to search our deck for an illusion, and the Edge Imp Chain also plussing. Impermanent, I guess it goes even. You're not going to lose a card from your hand now. Now it's like discarding your impermanence if that is what you would want to discard. You'd have to look at your hand and say, Imperm is the worst card in my hand. That's what I want to delete. As we search for the new Nightmare Apprentice. Nightmare Apprentice, discard any card to special and search our deck for an illusion. Let's get to it. Now, what does this even mean? Well, we do have the ability, through the effect of the Engraved Chimera, the Chimera is going to be reborning the barrier statue, locking the opponent out of special summoning non-dark monsters. Only dark can be special summoned. So that's going to be the main pain point of this situation that we have to break. And then in addition to that, the Mirror Sword Knight, if there's a Chimera on field, which there is not, would be able to negate a monster on field. We can Chimera Fusion into a Guardian Chimera, which could pop multiple cards in the field. Are you ready? Let's go. We're going to chain Swallow's Cowrie to tribute off our LyraLusk to search our deck. Okay, we're going to add a Winged Beast from the deck. Same level. DD freaking Crow. Wow. So we had to chain the Chimera to the Swallow's Cowrie before the DD Crow has been searched for, because now it can be stopped. But we happen to have a finger. We're just going to finger the DD Crow, stopping us from stopping them from playing the game. Big Wing Baphomet is activating to search our deck for 2 cards, and we are going to be chaining our Chimera King of the Phantom Beast, targeting the barrier statue to get Floodgate in. DD Crow, stop it. Call by the grave, finger the DD Crow, negate and banish, and just like that, non-dark monsters cannot be special summoned. Wind, wind, wind. All wind monsters in the hand, not special summonable. So I think we could tell from this that the game is definitely over. Set pass at the end of the main phase, because the quick play spell can only be used within the main phase. We make a Guardian Chimera, which will pop and draw 2. Now we could obviously draw some hand traps additionally here, also triggering the Gazelle, triggering the Baphomet to reborn. Gazelle search our deck, so we're draw 1, draw 2, search a 3rd card, reborn from the grave off of a quick play fusion spell. Nuts. Draw 2, drawing into Ash and Max C. We could just use the Ash Blossom to negate the Nerval if we want to. Let's hop into number 2. Let's do it. We are going first. Tri-Brigade Caress, discard Nerval to special summon Nerval, trigger to search our deck for the Fractal. Fractal, discard itself to send from the deck a Kit. Kit, activate, send from the deck to the grave another Fractal. Caress, after filling up the grave, banish 4 to special summon nothing as the effect Veiler negates. Damn. What we really wanted to summon was the Shiraeg Omen, and then we wanted to get the Shiraeg Omen in the grave to then search for a LyraLusk. Big counter there. We do have a Forbidden Droplet and Ash Blossom to negate. So it's important with the Ash Blossom against something like a Guardian Chimera. Holy moly, Gamma negate the Ash on negating the Patchwork, searching for the Edge Imp Chain and a Polymerization. A complete blowout we are witnessing here. And we're going to be grabbing that Poly, grab the Edge Imp Chain. We do have Forbidden Droplet though. Codal search our deck for a Gazelle, the Mythical Claws. And now we're going to polymerize, fuse into our Guardian Chimera. Now, Guardian Chimera with Polymerization in the grave is completely untargetable, so Polymerization will be in the graveyard. And if it's on the highest chain link, you can Ash Blossom negate the draw and destruction effect, but very easily you're going to chain link block it with any effect to stop Ash from stopping it. Chimera, there we go. Chain link block the Chimera, always do that. Forbidden Droplet, negate the Chimera Poppage. Nicely done, but I think Starling is still super screwed. We have not even committed to a normal summon yet. We have Mirror Sword Knight summon and then special summon from the deck. Nerval is going to be searching for Fractal to set up our next turn play, and as we said, Mirror Sword Knight, jump off the field, summon from the deck the big winged Baphomet, which will be locking you into fusion monsters from the action deck only here. As we then fuse it up again, Chimera Fusion into the Chimera King of the Phantom Beast, which will discard that newly added Fractal during the end phase. But more importantly, do we even have a scenario where we could set up lethal damage? If there's a monster in attack position, you could summon the ultimate boss monster with about 4 materials. This is it. The Chimera Illusion Beast with 4 materials will be able to attack 4 times. First attack reducing them to 0, and then 9,000 plus damage afterward. But Fractals and defense, so what do we do for lethal? Do we have it? Chimera Fuse again, more than once per turn. It is activatable as we now make a Magnum Reliever. 8,800 damage on the field, trigger effect in the grave, chain the Magnum Reliever, pop a card on the field in response to a card activating. And just like that, going first and going second with Chimera, absolute devastation. Lethal damage. Nicely done, Boda. Wow, beautiful. Starling, I'm sorry you got sacked, man. Your Charade Omen play got thwarted. They also were setting up the statue, which you correctly searched for a DD Crow. Not cool. Chimera's kind of like a Yugi deck, right? Yeah, Yugi, who played the Baphomet, the original ones? Toy Soldier searching for the Toy Box. Toy Box is going to be setting up into the back row another Toy Soldier plus a Toy Tank. They want to be sent to the graveyard. We now have Dark Magical Circle. Look at the top 3 cards of our deck and add nothing because there was nothing there that stated Dark Magician on it. Okay, set 3 pass back to Dark Magician. Oh, there we go. Rod is here. Now we're going to use the Toy Box to destroy up to 2 of our cards to trigger the effects when sent to the grave from the back row. Get ready. We're going to special summon both of them. Toy Soldier and Toy Tank. Toy Soldier will now be triggering, searching our deck for a Guiding Quem, level 4 light monster. Nice. As we are now going to use the Toy Tank to special summon the Guiding Quem from the hand. Normal summon our Magician's Rod to grab a Soul Servant. As we now link this all up into a triple link Celine Navidad, which will be able to reborn a spellcaster from the graveyard, triggering the Quem to reborn from the grave of Cartesia. As the Soul Servant now places a Dark Magician card on the top of our deck. Stacking up that Magician Souls. Reborn Cartesia. Now with the Soul Servant, we could banish it to draw that card we stacked on top. But first, we're going to Cartesia Fuse into Grand Grenoble. Now, there is a weird ruling interaction in Master Duel, and I don't know if it's going to happen here, where because this could send from the deck and extra deck, if you send from only the extra deck, your deck still shuffles. I think the shuffle animation still happens, which will screw you on the card you put on top of your deck. So I'll be interested to see if that's what happens. Super Polymerization, get fusing on the activation of the Grand Grenoble. Using away the Celine and Grand Grenoble to give ourselves a Garura. If sent to the grave, we will be drawing a card here. Sure. Now we're not going to know. You sent Dark Magician. How are we going to tell? You stacked a card and then shuffled your deck. Call by the grave, fingering in grave your Dark Magician, which the Soul Servant states, draw cards equal to the number of Dark Magician and or Dark Magician girls in grave. So we still draw into a Toy Box, even though we stacked the Magician's Soul. Since we sent a Dark Magician from the deck to the grave, we're going to set up the Toy Soldier from the graveyard back into our back row here. Now, the Toy Box states, if an opponent declares an attack, you can send a face-down card you control to the graveyard to destroy that monster, which we're going to do right here, right now. Send the Toy Soldier, destroy the Garura, draw a card, trigger Toy Soldier, reborn from the graveyard, and then search our deck. We will be maxing within the battle phase because we are desperate. The Big Wing Baphomet does trigger on normal or special, but it is a level 5. Off the top, we do have a Super Poly. Nightmare Apprentice will be special summonable within main phase 2. Discarding that Polymerization to come forth and summon, trigger her effect, search for an illusion, search for nothing unless we chain the Chimera Fusion, dodging the impermanence, trying to negate the illusion search. Now the Baphomet, when sent to the grave, will be able to reborn a monster from the grave. Come forth, Baphomet, the Mythical King. Now with this, we still have our normal summon. We are searching for our Mirror Sword Knight, Baphomet triggering, reborn, and we also have the Baphomet on field, sending from the deck to the graveyard a monster. This could be setting up possibly the barrier statue. Magician's Rod triggering after a spell and trap card activating, tributing off a spellcaster to add back to the hand. We're going to send a Gazelle from the deck to the grave, and then reborn our Nightmare Apprentice as the Grand Granule, because a monster was summoned through a monster effect. We're going to summon from the extra deck our Despian Praskinian as we Fright for Patchwork into a Polymerization plus our Edge Chain, setting up a Guardian Chimera. Add back the Chimera Fusion from graveyard. Normal summon Sword Knight, jump off the field into an Ash Blossom. That is devastating. That is your best use of Ash, but it could play into a card like Gamma, as we now chain Super Polymerization in response to the Ash Blossom, discard and diffuse with our Nightmare Apprentice and the Praskinian into our own Dragostapelia. Dragostapelia with the ability to negate any monster on the field by giving it a Predaplant counter and reducing it to level 1. So I would say during your own end phase, you should at least activate it. Put a counter onto the Toy Soldier so it becomes level 1. Toy Box is going to set up the Toy Soldier from grave, and in grave also setting up our Toy Tank. Tom, I see you, my friend. I'm going to read that in a bit. We have Magician's Rod on summon activating, and because we control a mythical beast monster on field, we could use the Mirror Sword Knight to negate a monster effect that activates on field. Negate the Magician's Rod. And we do have the Chimera Fusion in addition to the Dragostapelia to pop multiple cards on the field through the summon of Chimera. Artemis is here, a good way to just get the Magician's Rod in graveyard, and even better to make an SP Little Knight. The Little Knight will now be able to dodge the Predaplant Dragostapelia trying to negate it, as it on summon activates to banish the back row card. We're going to Dragostapelia attempt to negate the Little Knight. Little Knight's going to dodge the negate by banishing itself plus the Dragostapelia, as the Chimera Fusion now activates to fuse into, what are we making here? A Magnum the Reliever. Now you may be thinking, well, good thing the Little Knight's going to jump off the field to dodge the Magnum Reliever activating to pop the Little Knight on field, right? Wrong. It's stuck on the field. Because the other card we targeted to banish is no longer there, she does not banish. Both cards have to be banished, and we could possibly now get popping. Magnum Reliever will pop any card on the field that we would like in response to a card activation, which that's or effect that is. Banishing Polymerization, take out the Little Knight as I said, wipe it. Oh boy. Right for Patchwork from the deck, setting up a big Polymerization play. Now, normally, Mad Lads play just 2 Polymerizations, and there's one in the graveyard and 1 banish. So this Fright for Patchwork may do absolutely nothing. This is likely not even follow-up unless Astra is playing a 3rd copy of Polymerization. We're going to keep on cooking as we are going to tribute off the Toy Tank, reborning the Guiding Quem, send from the deck to the grave, Fallen Albaz. This is a very cool way to play Dark Magician, but where's the Dark Magician? Come forth, Masquerena, ready to link off during the opponent's turn, but we just lost our Little Knight, likely not playing another. Triggering the effect of Quem to reborn Albaz to discard, diffuse of the opponent's field, fusing into our own copy of Mirror Jade. Holy moly, YouTube Ray is popping off. Send to the graveyard an Albaz Fusion to non-target banish that Baphomet off of the field, as we then make an access code talker. Is there going to even be another turn? There is no other turn. Wait, there is whoa, you Little Knighted. You successfully banished the Chimera Fusion, thus you were not able to attack directly, but you didn't have lethal anyway. Oh my goodness. We're going to Cartesia trigger, add back during the end phase, backed up by double impermanence being our only forms of disruption since the Mirror Jade already activated. And as I suspected, the Patchwork will likely not be activatable, as we're going to instead Lubellion, search for Magna Hut, banish in the graveyard, come forth, activate, negate the Magna Hut, search for Abystial during the end phase. We can now tribute off the Magna Hut or our Lubellion from grave, but what's that going to turn into? What are our plays? Setting the Patchwork, summoning our Lubellion, Lubellion activate to set up a card into our back row, our Branded Regain, which we are now going to be able to reborn the Magna Hut if the opponent summons a card, or if a later Dark gets banished, we could draw. Well, Access Code Talker, banish from the grave, wipe out that Branded Regained. Again, Access Code Talker, banish from the grave, wiping out the dead Fright for Patchwork, which, public knowledge, we knew that set card was Patchwork because it was searched. They have no cards in the hand. What else could it be? Setting up the Toy Tank, popping up the Toy Tank. And with 2 toy boxes, I guess both their effects are activatable. That's crazy. They're not tied to hard once per turns. Absolutely absurd. Mirror Jade can now activate again, banishing Lubellion off the field, and just like that, Dark Magician Toy Box branded for lethal damage. Holy moly! I didn't know she also had the animation. I thought just Dark Magician had the Dark Magic attack. Damn. Hold up. We lost game 1. We chose for Dark Magician to go first. Well, we are playing a card like Raigeki, so we are kind of a turn 2 Chimera blind second deck? Sure. Well, it looks like it may work out. Hopefully that Raigeki will be good enough, as we already see they have some disruption in their back row and in their hand, which will be playing through the Raigeki. Toy Tank being sent to the graveyard after being put into the back row will trigger its effect to Reborn, as we then make a Verte Anaconda. Anaconda will be turning into a Mirror Jade and turning off your ability to special summon for the rest of the turn. Setting up a Toy Soldier and Toy Tank with our Toy Box before activating that Anaconda, and just like that, send the Branded Fusion. You have to go straight for the Mirror Jade because there are no other special summons allowed. Now, this looks like it's 1 disruption for Anaconda. It's actually 2, because normally when you summon a Mirror Jade, you're returning the Albaz back in the deck through your Lubellion Fusion. But because the Albaz is not in the deck and also not banished, it is a double disruption because Mirror Jade will non-target monster banish, and you will be sending from the extra deck a Rinbrum that we don't have, so never mind. The Rinbrum would have had the ability to reborn the Albaz from the graveyard to then fuse with the opponent's field. That would be the second disruption that we're not playing, because we're instead playing the Shadow Engine. Okay, this is interesting. We'll see how that takes off. Set up double Imperm plus our Ash Blossom. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 disruption to play through. We're going to Frightfur Patchwork, not wipe out the Mirror Jade yet. Trying to bait out the Ash Blossom. We are not negating. Codal, search our deck for the Mirror Sword. Astra, what the hell is that? You can't scoop the Dark Connection field. Fine. Well, good job, YouTube Ray. I hope to spectate more of your duels. Hopefully, maybe we'll see you in round 2, yes? Begin. Bonfire, don't tell me you all forgot about the strength and power of Snake Eye Fire King. It is still a super top tier deck, immensely powerful. Poplar is limited to 1, so when you hard open up the Poplar, it is a bit awkward when you also have a Bonfire. Thus, we added a Snake Eye Oak instead, trying to bait out a Hand Trap Disruption. We were able to successfully negate that Maxi. I don't think so, mate. Making our Link Karibo, triggering the Poplar, equip itself into the back. Our original Sinful, send Poplar, summon from the hand a Ponix. Ponix will now get Effect Veiler negated, as we do not have Link Karibo engraved to dodge the Effect Veiler. Negate. All right, we have already used up our normal summon, as we now make a Little Knight pass. Little Knight set with Imperm. We have double disruption, banish a monster, plus negate a monster. Let's see how we can play through this. Codal, discard, search our deck for a big winged Baphomet. Normal summon the Mirror Sword Knight, which maybe we forgot our own effect. If this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle because it's an illusion. It's actually not even there, it's fake, but you still take damage. We're now going to Sword Knight, main phase 2, summon from the deck our Gazelle. Gazelle, search our deck for a Chimera Fusion, Imperm, negate. Now, I do think this is a pretty good bait because we still have a way to grab a fusion spell through the Frightfur Patchwork. Patchwork, searching for our Polymerization plus an additional card, Edge, Imp Chain. The issue here is we need a monster on the field for the fusion summon in order to make the Guardian Chimera play to draw 2 plus pop 1. So we're just gonna have to change what we summon as the Little Knight banishes Gazelle off the field. Yep, we gotta do it. Otherwise, we can't even target the newly summoned Guardian Chimera. It would be untargetable due to Polymerization being engraved. As we now fuse with the hand instead, summoning our Mythical King, Baphomet, which will trigger the Baphomet from hand being fused into to Reborn from the grave. Just like that, Reborn an illusion. Reborning our Mirror Sword Knight. Nicely done. Mirror Sword Knight already activates effect to summon for the deck. We're going to send a Master Tau, which will trigger to Reborn from the grave an illusion. And with that, we have Mirror Sword Knight and Codal making our own Little Knight. What's important to note with this deck is, how are they summoning a non-fusion? Well, what locks you into fusion only is the big winged Baphomet being summoned onto the field and activating. So if you have plays where you want to make Beatrice or a Little Knight, do not trigger this effect on field, but the engrave effect was still okay to activate. Return back. What are our disruptions here? It looks like we just have Little Knight, but the Mythical King deck has disruption engrave through the power of Codal and the Sword Knight. If you target any of my cards while I have a Mythical King on the field, the Beast King that is, we are going to negate that effect and we're going to destroy. It is crazy. And the Sword Knight will negate an activated monster effect on field. So we already have the counter for Little Knight. We have the counter for Snake Eye Oak. It's a checkmate. Summon the Oak, Mirror Sword Knight, yup, negate, but it does not destroy, just negate the effect. And if we wanted to, we would chain Little Knight, then Little Knight would be destroyed by the Codal. We're going to hold off on that, instead making a Promethean Princess. Promethean to battle. Take out that Little Knight so it does not banish us. As we then main phase 2 it up, reborning our Ponix. Activate Ponix. You already activated your Sword Knight, so maybe the Snake Eye Oak was bait. As we set up the Fire King Island further, linking up into an Ambler Whale. We're going to use the Fire King Island, pop in the Whale, search in our deck for Garunix, trigger the Whale to reborn the Little Knight, trigger Garunix to come forth and summon, send from the deck by popping it, and that is going to trigger a Kirin to reborn a Fire King to then pop a card in the field. Is that what we're doing? Yup. Pop Kirin, trigger, reborn Fire King, non-target pop, take out the Gazelle. What the hell? As we then make a Hida. Hida could steal a monster from the graveyard. There's nothing to steal. No fire, no Ash Blossom, there's a Veiler instead. Off the top of the deck, we're going to be normal summoning our Edge, Imp Chain. On the top, actually, we drew into an Ash Blossom as I make a Muckraker. This is a really good card to reborn your big winged Baphomet, which then does lock you in a fusion only. But it locks you in a fusion because the effect is so good. It searches for 2 cards, a fusion card and a monster to fuse with, but of course we get stopped because that Muckraker play was too much. Now, let's read the Muckraker. The Muckraker. If a monster would be destroyed, you could tribute 1 Fiend instead. So had we had another Fiend, we could have protected our Muckraker from being destroyed by the Promethean Princess. Let's hop into game number 2. Discard Polymerization and special summon our Nightmare Apprentice, activating to search for an illusion monster, grabbing the Codal. Codal will be discarding to search for a Mirror Sword Knight or a Baphomet here, sure. Beatrice is going to be detaching the Mythical King, send from the deck the Barrier Statue, and just like that, holy moly, you randomly ripped a Call by the Grave, which was needed to stop you from summoning the Barrier Statue from the grave, which locks the opponent out of anything that's not a dark monster, can't be special summoned. Wow. That literally can't happen in the TCG. In the TCG, when you offer up your hand for discarding, your best card, you just hold onto it with more strength. Put your fingers together, and if you're stronger than your opponent, it literally can't be discarded. Imperm off the top of the deck, which is going to be good against the Barrier Statue only if we have no cards on field. Well, it's going to be dependent on the timing of when we summon that Barrier Statue, so Mobile X has to think, how do we trick Boda into summoning a statue while I have an open field so I can imperm it, and then I'm good? Well, maybe by searching for a Diablo Star, they are going to... Diablo Star's dark, though, so that would not be a reason to reborn the statue. And you just hit me with the Max C also. Well, we got to stop the cope and just grab a Ponix from the deck. Wow. Didn't even attempt any other big plays. That is wild. You know, because of the Max C, that definitely is a problem. We're going to send a Master Tau from the deck to the grave, triggering to reborn the Nightmare Apprentice, as we have not even attempted to reborn the Barrier Statue yet. Everything in attack position. We have Mirror Sword Knight activating to summon from the deck another Gazelle, which we're going to back-to-back imperm negate that Gazelle. You will not be searching your deck for the fusion spell. What now? As we now link this up into a Muckraker. Muckraker is going to be discarding a card to reborn. We're going to be reborning our Barrier Statue, getting it out early. So what's interesting about this, now we have 2 Barrier Statues. You deal with the one on field, it then reborns in the grave through the Chimera again. How do we deal with it twice? Well, imperm off the top of the deck and keep it on the field. Yes. Call by the Grave, which we needed to stop the Barrier Statue from being summoned, but now it's on the field, so what do we do? Well, It's dark, so is Diablo Star. Diablo Star's 2,500. Get it in the grave, and then finger it. That's exactly what we are planning on doing, as the Diablo Star summons by discarding the Snake Eye Diablo Star, setting up our original Sinful. We're going to Ponix on summon activate to search for the Skyburn, another way to deal with the barrier statue. Not eating up our battle phase, but the freaking Muckraker protecting it from being destroyed, so we're now going to have to destroy it by battle. Main phase 2, original Sinful, reborn the barrier statue, but we top decked the Call by the Grave, fingering that barrier statue. You will not stop me from summoning from the deck, and now Boda is left defenseless with no play to protect from this impending original Sinful, summoning from the deck into a big play. Let's go. Oak on summon, reborn, Ash, activate, add, Poplar, trigger, come forth and summon, activate, search for Divine Temple, set up Divine Temple to grab from the deck or graveyard the Snake Eye Diablo Star, make a Link Karibo, trigger Poplar, equip itself in the back row, Ash send itself plus Poplar to summon from the deck a Flameburge. We have the Wanted Seeker, return a card back, draw a card. As we further link this up into a dark to steal a dark monster from the opponent's graveyard, thank you for an easier way to make our Promethean Princess or even an Apollo USA double negate. We're going to set up the Fire King Island, pop the Flameburge, grab Garunix, trigger Flameburge, trigger Garunix. We're going to summon onto the field 2 additional fires. As the Garunix pops from the deck, the Alcanix will summon a level 8 from the deck. Further linking this up into a Masquerena and another body into Promethean Princess, Promethean, reborn Flameburge, put the Masquerena into the back row. All because the barrier statue got fingered. I mean, Boda had it good. Boda had Muckraker, barrier statue, Chimera engraved to reborn the barrier statue if destroyed by battle or by card effect. I cannot believe it actually got stopped. We needed that Ponix to be the second way to destroy that barrier statue. The Diablo Star itself was not enough.